and it was really hard. But I had to go through the fire because I already understood that these are seasons that you cannot escape from. You have to go through them.
And one of the things you said is going through those dry seasons, and that develops you, right? That develops you in your
Oh, yes.
character. It develops you in how you look at life and how you look at things, and what shapes you to be able to move forward. Is that a fair assumption?
Oh, yes. You're very right about that. Without dry season, a tree doesn't get tough. Trees become tough because of the season, the dry season they face. That's the reason we cannot punch a tree because they went through tough season that caused them to
Right.
become so hard that you cannot mess with that tree like that. And that's what happened to a leader. If you don't face dry season, you will always be, mellow. You'll always be, you would not learn what you need to learn. There are things you cannot do, and you will not be a strong leader. And there are things you will never experience, you will never understand if you don't face dry season. Leadership is not for kids.
Right.
We're very isolated. It's like we all separate ourselves, yet we're supposed to be in the world to bring them. We cannot bring them if we don't understand them. We cannot bring them if they are stronger than us in leadership. Because I believe Miles Monroe would have said that it's better to have a leader of a sheep that's going to war, than to have a sheep that is a leader of a lion that's going to war. As long as you have a strong leader, you have a strong team as well. And that's what the church is looking for in this era, for us to stay strong, to be strong, to do things as we're supposed to do it.
You're listening to Lead with Dr. Ralph Hughes, leadership thought leader, author, and keynote speaker.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lead with Dr. Ralph Hughes. In this podcast, we delve into the issues that hinder people in leadership positions and offer best practices from leaders who got it right. I am your host, Ralph Hughes, bringing you insights from my years of experience in the field. Today, we discuss issues affecting church leadership and offer some helpful tips to remedy the problem. And we are privileged to have a distinguished guest who will enrich our discussion and provide valuable insights. His extensive experience and deep understanding of spiritual matters make him an invaluable resource for our conversation. He is a true man of God. His humility, compassion, and empathy towards his people are qualities that are deeply admired. Our guest is the founder and spiritual head of Demonstration Ministry, a beacon of spiritual guidance in Tamarack, Florida. His influence extends far beyond the Sunshine State, with branches in Coral Springs, Florida, Port St. Lucie, Florida, Waterbury, Connecticut, and coming soon to St. Martin. His online ministry and global presence are testaments to his dedication and reach. He currently nurtures over 30 ministerial leaders, and his spiritual fatherhood extends to international churches in Haiti and Pakistan. He is also a prolific author with 5 insightful books to his name, each offering unique insights and practical advice on spiritual matters. The titles of the books are Operating in the Prophetic, One Life to Live, One Purpose to Pursue, Who Says Your Future Dictates on Your Past, A Wise Man Once Said, and Deep into the Realm of the Spirit. We are deeply privileged to have Apostle Jean Dieudonne with us today. His presence elevates our discussion, and we are profoundly grateful for his time and wisdom. Please welcome to the show, Apostle Jean Dieudonne. Thank you so much. I will also be remiss if I did not mention your wife, Sheila Dieudonne. So I just want to acknowledge her as well, that she's also a beacon of Demonstration Ministry. We cannot talk about Demonstration Ministry without talking about your wife, Sheila Dieudonne, as well. So I want to make sure that I give her the respect that she deserves.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bless God for the opportunity given to us to be here with you. And thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, Apostle Jean, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to become an apostle?
It's more like a calling. It's more like a calling because I didn't plan that. Because I remember when I was young, my dad was part of an association of pastors, and they had uh, they had some type of events going on, and one of the pastors asked a question, says, who's gonna take the baton when you leave? They asked my dad who's gonna take his place when my dad leave, and my dad, he pointed out to me that I was here. I said, please don't point out to me because I have my plans. Oh, I'm not, I don't have plans for that. And truthfully, I didn't plan for that. I never wanted to be that. I wanted to be a great musician. I wanted to be something else. I love computers, and I wanted to um, do other things. But I believe it's a calling. God had his plan, and God called me in this field. And the way he did, I couldn't reject the calling.
Right. Wow, that's very powerful as well. So you come from a family of church leaders, is that correct?
Yes, my grandfather was pastor. My dad is pastor. Now a pastor as well. So, yes, I'm actually one of the person that started one of the biggest church in our city. So yes, I grew up in church.
Pretty much everyone that I know in your family, they're very deep into the church, meaning that they have very deep roots and into the church, and that somehow they're also part of leadership in the church. Now, your brother, he has a church as well. Your sister, I believe they had a church together, and they're part of your ministry as well. If you can talk a little bit.
Yes, yes. Or every one of us. There were five of us. There were five siblings. We were three. Those three men and two women, and one of them, the first one, the very first one, is with the Lord right now. And now there's only four. There's four of us left, and two male and female. Two female. So all four of us are ministers of the Gospels. Every one of us, and I believe it's by divine calling, because my dad did something. His last few months or last 4 or 5 months that he had to leave, he spent those time into fasting. When I say fasting, real fasting. And to the point that one day my sister called me and said, I think our father has passed away. I don't hear from him no more in the room. He used to come out, he never come out no more. And he was doing fasting, 40-day fasting. I say 40 days, that's 40 days with no food and no drink. And he did it, he did, he did 40 days 3 or 4 times. And after he did the last one, he called all of us and told us our lives is set, and he has made a deal with the Lord, and everything is set for us in our lives, and God approves his requests, and he gave us even the paper, the land papers, everything he owned. When we asked him, why are you doing this? And then he didn't want to say. And 2 weeks later, he passed away. And God called every one of us differently, and we all have different calling, we do different things. So, but yes, all of us are.
Talk to us a little bit about how your early life experiences shape your aspirations for entering full-time ministry and through your father and your family. But who was your role model?
My dad was my role model. I wanted to be actually like him. It's very influential, man. Um, when I say very, very influential, um, in, in, in our country, not even the city, in the whole country. Um, and that's something that even before I started ministry, I was wondering, how did he get to this level of influence? But I never get the chance to talk to him and ask him any questions to understand the path that he has taken to get there. But he's a role model. Even now, when I'm doing certain things, I still try to remember his teaching and what he taught me. If not, I would not have a church today, because it's this teaching that kind of helped me standing today.
And so would you say that was the beginning stages of your leadership development in ministry?
That exactly. Him and also his brother, my uncle, and these were they were my role model, because I grew up. My uncle is not really too old, his age is not too far from my age, but at a young age they were very influential in our city and the whole country. And now it's a whole different story.
You
So
talking about in Haiti?
in Haiti, yes.
Okay.
And I have one of my uncle, even when he comes here in the States, in less than 6 months, he already have 9 churches that submit under him.
Wow. Wow.
And that's before even before even he learned English. And there were American churches as well. And now it's been in the States for more than probably 10, 12 years. It's a whole different story. So they are very influential people, and actually learn a lot from them. And when in life they were my teacher, they teach me a lot of things. It's not just in school, they were my teacher in school and also in life as well. I learned a lot from them. So the beginning of my leadership started by observing how they live their lives, because my uncle at 21 years old, he was already leader among many people that was way older than him. And they looked at him, oh, look at that little boy. He's leading these people, he's doing this. And he was young. And my dad did the same thing when he was young. And my dad did his thing in Indiana at 22 years old, because he was in college here in Indiana. When he was in school, he was one of the greatest students, and he was in the news and everything, and he was very bright wherever they go. Wherever they go, they leave the mark. So these are the footsteps I try to follow.
Right. Right. Wow. That's a truly amazing and inspiring story. And you talked a little, about your father being your role model, also your uncle being your role model as well. But would you also say that your uncle could have also, or did he mentor you growing up, being a leader in the church?
Indirectly, yes. From afar, I observe what they do. My dad was the only one because my dad used every opportunity to teach us. Everything is easy. He used it as an opportunity of learning. Even when you do something wrong, you get in trouble, he used it as an opportunity to teach you something.
Right.
And my uncle is through observation, and then I watch him, what he does. I watch, because we're very close. I watch everything that he was doing, and that's how I observe him to learn from him. He was a mentor, indirect mentor, I can say.
But your leadership extends, or at one time it extended beyond the church. Is that correct?
Yes, it's still.
Okay, so talk to us, because I know you ran for a government office at one point in your life, right?
Yes. I believe God wanted me to learn something. And I always say this, I didn't understand evangelism until I ran for commissioner in the city of North Lauderdale. Even until today, anyone that's running in the city of Tamarack, North Lauderdale, even Fort Lauderdale, Lauderhill, they reach out to me. They reach out for support. And I don't know if you know the Congress, Sheila. We still stay in touch because we're one of the people that helped her. Before she ran, she come and sit with me. She came to the church in our service, and after service we sat together and talk about it. And to me, that's God opening those doors. The mayor in Tamarack, until today, we still talk. We still reach out to me. I have her number. They'll always check on me, email me, or send me a text message. And any event, any things that's going on in the city, they reach out and let me know, ask me for my input, my opinions about it. I don't ask them to do that. It'll just happen that they feel that my opinion is valuable to them, and they reach out to me at everything that's happening. And there's a young man that's going to run for commissioner. Before when he had the idea, I was the first person he called. Asked, what do you think if I run for commissioner? What is your advice for me? And I reached out to a few people and said, you need to talk to so-and-so, talk to so-and-so. This is what you need to do. I'm still guiding him until today. You know, he already in the race now. I'm helping him, pushing him to understand the drills and what to do. To me, our leadership, it's not just in the church, it went beyond the four walls. So we're doing everything we can, because if God called us to do something, God is not limited. We cannot limit our leadership within the walls as well.
Mm. And that ties into your name of the church, Demonstration Ministry, right?
Yes.
So it's about what inspired you to come up with the name Demonstration Ministry.
That's a funny story. I have an issue that if I don't see something, I don't believe it.
Okay.
You can tell me anything, I'm very hard to believe, man. I'd like to see proof before I believe. And when I was younger, that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to. I had an issue with the church, because the church was all talk, all pray, but I don't see anything more. And I said, God, if I have to serve you, I need more. I have to see more proof. Show me who you are. Don't let someone keep on talking to me about you. You have to expose yourself to me. And instead of someone trying to convince me about you, you need to convince me about it. And the way God convinced me, I was sick, according to doctors, by the time I turned 22, 23 years old. I'm going to be in heavy medicine. I won't be able to do anything, to travel, to do nothing, because of the scoliosis that I have. And I even skipped school. When I used to be in primary school, in 5 minutes, if you walk pass by, you see there's one student that stand up. A few minutes later, I sit down. After that, I stand up again, because I cannot remain sitting for a long time. I have to stand up for a while. My back hurt. I sit down. Back hurt. I stand up. I'm not comfortable. I didn't sleep like everybody else. I have to sleep flat on the floor. And after 20, 30 minutes of sleeping, I have to sit on the chair and fall asleep on the chair. And after 20 minutes, I have to get up that chair. Sometimes I'm sleeping standing because of the pain that I was going through. It was heavy pain. And the way that God healed me, that's one of the reasons why this name come about. The name was actually revealed to me in a dream, revelation and demonstration. And I told God, if you can demonstrate yourself to me, you win me. And the way he healed me was so easy. In the service, I felt a little wind. A little wind was going in my back. It was like all over my back. And I'm like, what is this? What is? The thing was in my back. Literally, there was a wind in my back. And then after I felt it for a few minutes, and I didn't have pain no more. The pain was gone. And I sat throughout the service. There was no issue, no problem. I didn't even realize that. I went home, no pain, lay down, no pain. And but the crazy part is the scoliosis is still there. But I never have pain since then. And last time I went to a chiropractor, they told me something. They were shocked. They wanted to call 911. And for example, they said, according to them, scoliosis is bad enough when it's at 20, 25%. That's really bad scoliosis. Mine is at 60 something. It's at least at 67, 68. Mine is like that. And according to them, I'm not supposed to be able to function at all. And they were asking all type of questions. I said, hey, I have perfect back. They wanted to touch me to feel, and they were scared to even touch my back because they thought I would have big pain, strong pain. They said that's impossible. someone like me, I should be taking shots, all type of things for pen. And but they couldn't understand it. But that's God's power demonstrating himself to me. And that's what the name comes about, demonstration, because God himself demonstrated himself to me. And he actually gave me the word demonstration. And because I couldn't believe certain things, and then he says, use me to demonstrate everything I couldn't do.
Wow, that was a powerful testimony. And we thank God for your healing, for sure. So let me ask you, do you recall a time that you would consider the most challenging as a leader, and what did you do to overcome it?
As a leader, I believe there's always challenges that come your way. In ministry, yes. When I just started ministry, I said to myself, I thought they said ministry was hard. This is easy. And then I gave it a few years. After a few years, I realized, I'm like, oh my God. I realized it is not a joke. And that's when I was really feeling the heat of ministry. But as a leader, what I learned is that I don't let nothing people do to cause me to change what I'm doing, or my ways, my mindset.
Right.
Because if someone can cause me to change my ways of leading, they are a better leader than me. What people do shouldn't affect my ways of leading. So that's the reason the challenge that I face, I do not allow the challenge itself to cause me to deviate from the path that I'm following.
Right.
So I try to stand my ground, and keep on doing what I'm supposed to do, regardless of the challenge that I face.
Right.
One of the biggest challenge I have faced in ministry was dry season. What is dry season? I learned this from my dad. Ministry is it's like a garden. No matter how you take care of the trees, no matter how much you love kissing those trees, when it comes to dry season, they're still gonna get dry. There's no amount of water, there's no amount of love you can give to a tree for it not to lose leaves in the dry season. They still won't give fruit. They're still gonna get dry no matter what you do. And then he taught me that says church is the same way. There's a season that comes, no matter what you do, no matter how much you love on these people, how you care for them, they're still gonna go through a dry season. I remember because we were a small group, our first dry season, I was only left with me and my wife, and one. I think I only have one child at the time. One of my child, and I believe my mom was there. That was us. That's left only. The whole church, when you call them, I'm very discouraged right now. I'm this, I'm that. Everybody had a story, and it was very dry. And you may ask, so how do you guys pay the bill? How do you do this? I had to be on survival mode at the time. And it was very hard. But I had to go through the fire because I already understood these are seasons that you cannot escape from. You have to go through them.
And one of the things you said is going through those dry seasons, and that develops you, right? That develops you in your character.
Yes.
It develops you in how you look at life and how you look at things, and what shapes you to be able to move forward. Is that a fair assumption?
Oh, yes. You're very right about that. Without dry season, a tree doesn't get tough. Trees become tough because of the season, the dry season they face. That's the reason we cannot punch a tree. Because they went through tough season that caused them to become so hard that you cannot mess with that tree like that. And that's what happened to a leader. If you don't face dry season, you will always be, mellow. You will always be, you would not learn what you need to learn. There are things you cannot do, and you will not be a strong leader. And there are things you will never experience, you will never understand if you don't face dry season. Leadership is not for kids.
Right. I like that. So as a developing leader, It is extremely important to take some sort of leadership development training, because you alluded to the development of a leader in one aspect. But in another aspect, when it comes to your leadership team, for
Mhm.
example, what types of leadership development did your leadership team have to undergo? And how long did that process take?
Um, my leadership, I make sure that I train them for over 2 years.
Mm.
For 2 years. And what I've understood now is leadership training is something that has to be ongoing. Every 6 months or every year or at a certain time, there has to be more training. More training. Why? Because time changes, things are changing. People have to evolve. They have to grow. They cannot keep the same method, the same principle. It doesn't work. What works 2 years ago may not work right now. So you have to keep on learning new idea, new ways of leading people, because things are changing. People are changing. People are seeing life differently. And that's one of the reasons why I believe leadership training, it's not something that someone goes one time and then that's it, you're done with it. And now you're a
Right.
great leader forever. It's something that you have to continually
Right.
evolve and grow and learn. I do that for myself. I do that for myself. I have a certain time in my schedule on a yearly basis that in that period of time for 3 months, I work on my leadership skills. I read books and watch videos and all type of things about leadership only for that period of 3 months. And when I say leadership, I don't mean leadership in the church only, leadership in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because a leader is a leader. Whether you're in church or not, it's still a leader.
Right. Right. And that's so profound. And I appreciate you saying that, because I always say that you might be a leader in the church and every person that's in the church, but you also have to be able to bring your leadership to the secular world. Everywhere you go, you have to bring that sense of leadership, but from the biblical perspective.
Yes.
What are the most essential or critical areas of Christian leadership today?
Lack of training, the fact that we downsize the church to if it's a leader in the church, they don't give value to that. I'm not sure if it's because people give value to things that has money involved. I don't know if that's the reason, but one of the main issue in the church with leaders is because of we look down on the church or on that role as leaders. We take it as it is as if it was nothing. So that's one of the main issues.
And how do we overcome that?
The best way to overcome that is through training and to teach the people how important is leadership, not just for the church, but
Right.
a leader is a leader wherever you go, and for them to understand that we do not make you a leader, you're born one, but
Right.
through training we can guide you
Right.
and to fulfill your role. And until the church understands its position in the world, then there's so much we're gonna miss out on because we procrastinate in the church. If you look at leadership at Walmart and you compare it to the church, it's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
Because they invest into that, and the church has not invested much into leadership. That's
Right.
one of the issues.
So there's not a huge investment in leadership in the church. And we look at leadership in the church as being something that's extremely different from leading in the secular world, like
Exactly.
you said, Walmart or any Fortune 500, Fortune 100 company organization, where you could be at Mobil, Exxon, you could be at Ford, and the leadership
Exactly.
is applied. We do understand that leadership may be applied in some sense differently depending on the industry and depending on the organization. I mean, I worked in education, I worked in business, I worked in law enforcement. I can assure you that the foundations of leadership are there. So the foundations can be applied pretty much anywhere, and I would say to any organization anywhere in the world. The difference is to understand the culture, how things operate, to understand the organizational culture, to see how things operate within that industry, within that organization, and geographically. Those are some of the issues that we have to look at also.
Yes.
And being a leader and being a leader of a church is even more critical, in my opinion, because you're spreading the word of God. You're in a position to spread the gospel. Problem issues that I see when it comes to leadership as a whole is that developing the leadership mindset. Most people don't have that leadership mindset. They already come to the table with their belief system, and a lot of the belief systems when it comes to leadership is just false. I don't even know where a lot of that comes from or stems from. The other issue is sometimes they're not invested in the role of leadership. They just want to be in that role for whatever reason. For whatever reason it is. It could be a million reasons, but they're not really invested in a role of leadership. They just want the position for whatever reason, and then they get into the positions, but they don't have the proper mindset for that.
Very true. Very true.
All right. So, but in your opinion, how has Christian leadership as a function changed in the past 10 years? And from either whether it's from a positive or negative standpoint, and what are the driving factors creating these changes?
The problem with the church today is because we lost our role in the world. We lost our position. And when I say lost our position as far as understanding that we are children of God, that God is in control, that we are supposed to be the one helping and leading this world. But because we look down on ourselves, we look down on who we are as believers, as children of God, now the world take control over the church, take control over everything. So that's one of the main issues. Over the years, the church is losing its dignity, its value. And one of the main problems is because of lack of education, lack of training, and lack of, we do not have real leaders, strong leaders to take that role. Because you find in church people, anyone, if they can hold a Bible, they call themselves a pastor, they call themselves a leader. And there's not qualified leaders.
Right.
There's no training whatsoever. And I tell people this all the time, just because you went to Bible school doesn't make you a pastor. There's all the qualifications. So because you can be a pastor, but you're not a leader, a strong leader. You can have a calling as a pastor, but if you don't invest into yourself to be the leadership, people do not follow people because you're a pastor. They follow you because you're a leader. You know, they don't follow you because you open the word, but they follow you because not only you know how to open the word, but you're a leader. You cause the people to listen to you as a leader. So lack of leadership over the years, that's something that is decaying in the church. That's something that we have been, it's less and less and less and less. Most people believe that, I can pray for 2 hours, then I can do this. No. There's no prayer that's going to make you a leader in the church. Prayer cannot do that for you. It is training, and it is strongly, you have to really dedicate yourself into understanding, into learning how to be a leader.
And one of the things I think that are absent from leadership, not only in the church, but in organizations primarily, is having a true mentoring program. Because one of the things that you said, which is very true and extremely important, is training. Having that training and being invested in your role as a leader or someone who aspires to become a leader. Having that training is important, but I also think having a mentor is also important. One of the issues I see with some of the organizations that actually do have a mentoring program is that they tend to partner the mentors. Now, you may not be a good fit. I may not be a good fit with the mentor that you partner me with. So I always felt that I looked at it as the reversed way of looking at the mentoring program. What I mean by that is, instead of partnering one of your leaders or aspiring leaders with a mentor, have the mentees seek out their mentors, someone who they believe that they'll be able to model, someone they believe they'll be able to learn a lot from. Because really, the mentor-mentee relationship has more to do with a relationship than anything else. It's really just a friendship. And you're learning best practices and you're developing within that process, but from a friendly space. And one of the other things I also came across a long time ago in my leadership studies because all the institutions of higher education that I've ever been to were Christian institutions. And I came across the 12 Inspiring Leadership Lessons from Bible Characters by Doug Rice. And he said, and I'll say this very briefly, Noah did right things. Abraham welcomed the unknown. Joseph bounced back. Moses stuck up for others. Joshua led by example. David was not afraid of giants. Isaiah rose to the occasion. Daniel was determined. John called it like it was. Jesus was a servant. Jesus was and is truly a servant of his people. Peter recovered from failure, and Paul was very passionate about his people. As a leader, I always try to embody that and try to make sure that I had a little bit of something from each and every one of those leaders that I just talked about, and ensuring that I have that balance. But where do you see the role of Christian leadership in the church in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, the way the world is going, because if we understand how the world is going right now, with the AI, with computer, with everything, because we have information in the tip of our hands, if we invest into ourselves, we can do great things. But at the same time, if we do not do that, we allow the world to evolve more, to grow more, it's not good. It's not going to be good for the Christian world if we do not do our part. Because there's a spiritual part. I'm a very spiritual man. There's a spiritual part that has to be done. Yes, we're doing a good job at the spiritual part, but the natural part has to be done as well. Because believe it or not, the church is an organization. An organization without a strong leader team cannot function right. You know, when you look at it, an organization, there's a business perspective as well in it. You have to look at things in a business way. If you don't look at it that way, to have a leaders that understand how to cater that organization to do things a certain way. And when I speak in the church, I don't speak just for my church, the church in general. And if we do not invest into our leaders, understand how things function these days and how things are, and to lead the people in that pattern, it's gonna be very bad. Because right now the church is actually isolated from the world. We're very isolated. It's like we all separate ourselves. Yet we're supposed to be in the world to bring them. We cannot bring them if we don't understand them. We cannot bring them if they are stronger than us in leadership. Because I believe Miles Monroe would have said that it's better to have a leader of a sheep that's going to war, than to have a sheep that is a leader of a lion that's going to war. As long as you have a strong leader, you have a strong team as well. And that's what the church is looking for in this era, for us to stay strong, to be strong, to do things as we're supposed to do it. And if not, the world is growing. They understand what's happening. They see what's going on, and they're trying to grow with it. And if we don't do the same thing spiritually and naturally, then they're going to kick us out. We're going to be so far away from the system of this world. We're going to be so outdated that we won't be able to function within this world.
But why do you feel the church has separated itself from the world? What caused that paradigm shift? Because it wasn't always like that.
The main reason that this has taken place, because we believe that, yes, we are different, but the only way to bring people closer is to understand that we fit with them, we are part of them as well, and to grow with them, and for us to train our leaders, to have leaders that can train people, that help people to understand who they are in Christ and how to fit in this world. The problem is we do not have people to train our people the right way. And because of that, any believers believe when they see somebody in the world to run away from. And I'm spared, I'm this, I'm that. But not knowing that's not the way Scripture asks us to do it. And if you don't have strong leaders, teach the people the right way to fit in the world in order to bring everybody to Christ, and we'll always be separated. Because while we think we're better, but yet we know less than the people in the world, because they are growing, they are being trained, they have all type of mentors to helping them, and the finances become theirs, everything becomes theirs. But yet in the church, We are lacking everything because of lack of training, lack of strong leadership. And that's what's separating us because we do not teach the people the right way. They don't have the right mentors, the right training.
And so what words of advice or encouragement would you like to share with our listeners today, and especially those who have a calling to serve in a leadership position in the church?
My word of advice, if ever you want to be effective into the churches to play our role, to do what we're supposed to do, then we have to learn. Those who learn and those who understand the position and they understand that what they are dealing with. So the people we are dealing with, they are learning. They are strong-minded. They are very strong leaders, some of them. And they are training others to be like themselves. And if we're not following that same principle into learning ourselves, into building ourselves and train ourselves, having mentors, strong mentorships ourselves, then there's no way we're going to be effective in the work that we're supposed to. And what is the work? The work is to get those people out there, is to bring them in. We cannot bring them in if they're stronger than us. They will not follow us. They will make us follow them instead. So the only way we're going to be effective in our work, and our work is simple, to bring them. You don't bring people if you're not a strong leader.
Right.
People don't follow if you're not a strong leader. So they'll look at you, they say, there's nothing to follow there. So my advice is we need to go back into our basics. What is that? Learning and to understand who we are in Christ. And then we are strong leaders. That's what Jesus came into, to the disciples. He come to do leadership. And without strong leadership, we will not be effective in the work that we're called to.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. And we talked about some systemic issues in the church and some potential remedies, and hopefully we will see that take effect in the very near future. And some of these things we can actually apply immediately, because when it comes to the mindset, of course, it takes time to develop your leadership mindset, as I call it, but also the willingness is what I'm really alluding to. The willingness can be applied immediately, or after listening to the show, they may be more than willing to apply some of the methodologies that you talked about. So I appreciate your time and your wisdom sharing with us some principles of leadership and how we can apply that across the board anywhere in the world. And for our listeners who want to learn more about demonstration ministry or connect with you, where can they find you online or stay updated on your latest events?
They can go to our website, www.demonstrationministry.org or .com, and we have our schedule. Or they can go to DM Online app and register there and look at whatever we're doing. We have those posted there in our app or our website. That's the best way to follow us.
And you're also accepting donations for your new church building, right?
Yes, on our website, after we have a page that's dedicated for that.
Okay. All right. So again, thank you so much, Apostle Jean, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us about Christian leadership, explaining some of the systemic issues while offering biblical principles and solutions to weed out those problems. And I thank you so much. And it's been my pleasure and honor talking with you today. And I thank you. But before we go, also don't forget to purchase Apostle Jean's books on Amazon and visit his website once again at www.demonstrationministry.org for more information about demonstration ministry and church services. Also, be sure to visit my website at www.drhspeaks.com to purchase my latest books, The Thinking Leader, Effective Lessons for Everyday Leadership and Public Speaking Insider Tips you won't find on Google. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you, the viewers, for your support in making this podcast possible. It is always a pleasure having you as part of the family. Until the next time, be well and God bless.
Thank you.